I know I talk a lot about Sarasota County, but there is certainly something to say about our neighbor to the north, which is Bradenton in Manatee County. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 neighborhoods or areas that are worthy of considering in Bradenton. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring new videos about moving here to the Sarasota area, what it's like to live in the Sunshine State, and of course, I like to talk about real estate. So if you've been thinking about making that move, then this is the channel for you. Be sure to tap that subscribe button and keep on watching. Then when you're ready to get some more of those questions answered, figure out maybe when's the best time for you to make that move, if it's a wise decision, then please give me a call, text, or email me. I'm here to answer your questions. Okay, so as I mentioned, Bradenton is north of Sarasota and Manatee County. Now, before I dive into these neighborhoods, I just want to give you a little bit more lay of the land so you understand how Bradenton is laid out. And when I talk about Bradenton and Manatee County, I'm talking farther west. I'm not talking about Lakewood Ranch, which is east of I-75, or north of Manatee River, which is more like Palmetto, Ellington, and Parrish. So Bradenton is farther, I guess you'd call it southwest in Manatee County. Now, Manatee and Sarasota counties are divided by University Parkway. University Parkway runs east and west. It goes from, well, to the airport to 41 all the way east of 75, deep into Lakewood Ranch. And then it dead ends in there, which I'm sure in time it's going to continue to expand. So if you're south of University, you're in Sarasota County. If you're north, you're in Manatee County. Now, the one thing that's a little confusing sometimes is that there are little pockets of neighborhoods, older neighborhoods that are in Manatee County, but they do have a Sarasota mailing address. So then when I've got people who will say, oh no, this place is in Sarasota, I'm like, well, no, it's in Bradenton, it's Manatee County. No, Jill, it's got a Sarasota mailing address, really. And I'm like, well, okay, Sarasota mailing address, but it's really Bradenton, it's Manatee County. So sometimes there's a little confusion with that. Now, next, I want to share with you some of the other roads, major roads here. So the other roads that run east and west, of course, as I mentioned, we've got University Parkway, and then next up is State Road 70, which is also 53rd Avenue West. And then next is Cortez Road, runs east and west. And then also State Road 64, which is also Manatee Avenue. And then these roads and the other main roads I'll mention that run north and south, if a property is near those main roads, which today all the neighborhoods I'm going to mention are close to one of these roads, you can guarantee that there's going to be decent shopping, restaurants, all the major living things that you need. You're not going to be isolated at all. So when you hear those main roads, that's what those mean. Now, the roads that run north and south are going to be US 301 and then 41, which is also Tamiami Trail. And in Bradenton is also 14th Street West. Okay, are we confused yet that we've got multiple names for the same road? So 41, is a general term throughout the state. Tamiami Trail is a general term throughout the state because it goes from Tampa to Miami. So they put the 2 names together, so we have Tamiami Trail. But for whatever reason there in Bradenton, it's also 14th Street West. So you're gonna hear those names, all the same thing. Now, if you wanna go out to the beaches, of course, we have to head west. So you're gonna take Cortez Road or Manatee Avenue, State Road 64 to head out to the beaches. You'll hit Holmes Beach, Bradenton Beach. Then if you wanna go to Anna Marie Island, you just go north from there. If you wanna go to Longboat Key, you go south from there, and you can take a bridge to get out down to Longboat Key, and then you can continue down Longboat Key to get to Sarasota, Lido Key, St. Armands. So that's sort of just a nice brief overview to sort of help you understand how the main roads work in this area. Now, something else I want to mention too that drives me absolutely bonkers, some people love it, I do not, is that in Bradenton, not necessarily Lakewood Ranch and some of the other areas, but in Bradenton, many of the streets are numbers. And if it's an avenue, like Manatee Avenue, that's going to run east and west. And then the streets, if it's a street, then it runs north and south. But then sometimes there's some crazy concoctions that come together with these. So one time I sold a property, I think it was like 51st Avenue Drive northwest. So you had Avenue and Drive on the same address. So sometimes it gets a little cuckoo there. So just bear with me with all of that. It's just the nature of the beast there in Bradenton. Okay, let's talk neighborhoods. The first neighborhood I want to share with you is a community called Barrington Ridge. Now, Barrington Ridge in Bradenton is just off of Lakewood Ridge Road on the west side of the road, and it's just south of State Road 70. It's a really nice central location. It's probably less than 30 minutes to Bradenton Beach, and I would think, about 30 minutes more or less to get to downtown Sarasota. So you're not super far from any of the big things that you'd want to do. And it's also not terribly far from getting to I-75. You can just go north to State Road 70 or south to University, head east, and you're on 75. Easy peasy. So it's a good central location. Now let's talk about the community. Barrington Ridge is a neighborhood of about 355 homes. So not terribly large, but not just one of those tiny little alcoves where you guys got a couple little streets with a few dozen homes. In terms of amenities, there's a community pool, there's a playground. Now it's not gated, but it still doesn't feel like people are there who don't belong there. People aren't really cutting through the neighborhood. I've never sensed that or anything like that. There's nice sidewalks there. Something else that I notice about neighborhoods is that, honestly, is the width of the streets. Because sometimes with the newer neighborhoods, these builders are trying to jam as much real estate onto these properties, onto the land as they develop it. And I think Barrington Ridge, the roads are a little bit wider than some of the other ones you're going to see these days. So if somebody's parked on the side of the road, it's not like you're just trying to squeeze right through and, between vehicles. So that's nice. If I didn't mention it, there's a lot of sidewalks. So all those things kind of lend to this nice feel. And then also the homes were built like around 2005, more or less. And considering that the neighborhood is newer, it does have quite a bit of mature trees and landscaping and things like that. So all that stuff as you drive through just sort of gives it this nice, pleasant feel to the whole community. And I really like it. So these are some of the reasons why I chose this neighborhood of Barrington Ridge. Now, other things I want to make you aware of is there are no CDD fees in this community development district fees. If you don't know what that is, I made a video on it. I'll put a link below for you so you can check that out. So there's no CDD fees. This is not a flood zone area at all. So you're not going to be required to have flood insurance. You can always elect to use it, have it, but you don't have to. And then the HOA dues are about $784 a year. So less than $100 a month for those dues. Now, they don't cover landscaping or anything like that, because if they did that, the dues would be much higher than, $800 a year. But they take care of the playground, the pool, like maybe the big sign out front, landscaping of common areas. So that's what those dues go for. And then because they do collect dues, there's going to be some deed restrictions. They're not crazy strict in this community, but they do have some very distinct rules. Like you can't do short-term rentals. So if you're looking for an investment property, this is a great community to buy in for that, but it's only going to be an annual rental. You can't do an Airbnb there. So consider things like that. You can't keep a big boat or camper out front all the time and store a commercial vehicle or something in the driveway. So, but there's just enough rules to kind of keep things looking tidy, nice, very consistent, coherent. But people aren't silly and ridiculous in there either. They're not crazy strict. Now let's talk about the homes. As I mentioned, a lot of these homes are built more or less around 2005. The builder was Centex, or as far as I'm aware, they built the entire community. Every so often, community is split between two builders, but I think it was all Centex. They're block homes, so concrete block on the first floor. Now, if you got a 2-story home, then I go ahead and assume really anywhere here that the second story is going to be wood frame, but the ground is going to be a concrete block on a slab, and then they stucco the whole thing. So that's normal construction in our area. Let's see, some of these homes have pools, some don't, some have fences, some don't. I think there's some restrictions on the type of fence if you're on a retention pond, a little lake or not. Otherwise you could have a privacy fence depending on where you're at in the neighborhood. Some of the homes have 2-car garage, 3-car garage, so a little variety there with that. In terms of size of the properties, on the smaller end, they start around 2,000 square feet for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe with a den or a little bonus room or something. And then they get pretty big, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, around 3,200 square feet. So they can get bigger. The lot sizes are pretty average, between 7,500, 10,000 square feet. And then in the last 6 months, the homes have sold between $350,000 and $600,000. So for all these reasons, I just like this neighborhood. Some people really want to be in Sarasota, but this isn't too far out of Sarasota. You're farther west. It's a nice little sweet price point for a decent house, slightly newer construction. And like I said, just nice, cute little neighborhood, as you're gonna see in the video clips that I took to show you guys. And then one other thing I wanted to mention about this community is that, like I said, it's off of Lakewood Ridge Road, and north and south off of Lakewood Ridge Road in this strip, it's all residential areas. So you're just kind of nestled there. Even though you're not far from commercial properties, you're in good company with a lot of other really nice neighborhoods. Some are gated, some aren't, some are newer, some are a little bit older, but it's all kind of nestled in there. And then when you pull in and out of the neighborhood on the Lakewood Ridge Road side, the traffic isn't terribly bad. Sometimes parts of the day could be a little heavy, but otherwise it's pretty doable. So for all those reasons, that's why I chose Barrington Ridge to share with you. The next neighborhood I want to share with you is West Bradenton. And as the name suggests, it's to the west for sure. It's pretty far west, and it's actually northwest. It is north of State Road 70 or Manatee Avenue, and it butts up against Manatee River. And if you take that Manatee Avenue west, you're going to hit the beach. It could take you 15 minutes to get to the beach, which is awesome, as long as the traffic isn't horrible and you don't get stuck at the bridge for a very long time. So the accessibility to the beach is fantastic. So I love that part of this community. Now let's talk about the community as a whole. There are no CDD fees, there's no HOA dues, there's nothing. There's really no rules. You can do almost whatever you want, unless like the city of Bradenton has some specific rules, but otherwise you can Airbnb the area. You can keep your boat, camper, commercial vehicle, whatever you want right there at your property. You can paint it whatever color you want, and you can do anything. But keep in mind, if you can do anything, which some people like, that means your neighbors can do anything, and maybe you don't like what their choices are in terms of landscaping or lack of landscaping, or how they maintain the property, or, so some areas can be super adorbs and really sweet, and other areas can be kind of junky, to be honest with you. So that's the one thing that you're at risk of is, finding that sweet spot where people are staying put and you can feel good about the area that you're living in. Something else that's special about this area is, like I mentioned, it's on the Manatee River. So some homes are right there on the river, and there's a couple little bayous or little inlets or canals that you could potentially live on in this area. So that's nice to have that direct water access to go straight out to the river. Now, because of all that water right there, you could be in a flood zone. Some of the properties are in a flood zone, some are not. And please don't think that just because a property is not on water, that it means it's not in a flood zone. There's no correlation really between the two. Now, if you're on water, assume you're flood zone. But even if you're in another block or two, you could still be in a flood zone. And if you're getting a mortgage, then you would be required to have flood insurance. So keep that in mind from this area as well. Now let's talk about the homes. The homes here are very eclectic. You name it, they've got it here in this area. The homes were started to be built back in the early 1900s. There's still new homes being built today, most likely because they've torn down some of these really old homes that are in poor shape to build the new ones. So you're going to see all different styles, all different types, all different conditions, big, small, everything is going to be here in West Bradenton. The homes can run as small as 1,000 square feet and as large as 8,000 square feet. The lots can be as small as 6,000 square feet and as large as 60,000 square feet. So as you can see, there's nothing cookie cutter about this area at all. And then in the last 90 days, the prices have run somewhere between like $200,000 and just over $2 million. So that's why you see all these different price points, everything. Now, if I took out the outliners, if I took out the homes that sold over $1 million in the last 90 days, which there was just a few of them, then the average sale price in this area is around $370,000. Now, as I already mentioned, some of those older homes can be a little rough. So please don't think you can come in there and buy some cute little sweet bungalow for $250,000 and it's going to be move-in ready. Those lower priced homes really are going to be candidates for a tear down, or they're just going to need a ton of work. So don't get too excited when you hear these lower numbers of $250,000. So the West Bradenton area is just a nice, eclectic area of all different homes. Location is fantastic if you're looking to be really close to water. Okay, our third and final neighborhood is the Whitfield area. Now, Whitfield is in, of course, Manatee County, but just north of University, over to the west. It is just north of the Sarasota Bradenton Airport, which is on University Parkway. So you are really close to Sarasota if you're in the Whitfield area. And it goes both west and east of 41 or Tamiami Trail. And then not only is it just north of the airport, but right there we've got a branch of USF, which the main campus is in Tampa. And then we have New College, which is the college for like smart kids. You got to major test into that one. So those colleges are very close by as well. Now, of our three areas, this is definitely the one that's closest to downtown Sarasota. And if I was to go to the beach from this area, I would go to Lido Beach, where you cut through downtown, go through St. Armands, and then you go out to Lido. A lot closer than going up to Bradenton Beach or Holmes Beach. So that the location's good if you're really wanting to be close to downtown Sarasota, but get a little bit more of an affordable price point. So that's really nice in that regards. Now let's talk about the community as a whole. In general, it's probably more like West Bradenton than it is like Barrington Ridge, because there are no HOA dues, there's no CDD fees. There actually is a few little general rules for the community, but nothing crazy at all. So can you still do short-term rentals and Airbnb these properties? You bet. Can you have your commercial vehicle or a camper or truck or whatever out front? Yes, you can. Can you paint your house whatever color you want? You sure can. So, there's not super strict rules at all in this area. Now, most of these properties are not in the flood zone, but if you go west of 41, because then some of those homes are right there on the bay, then you would be in a flood zone. So if you're farther west, bank on being in a flood zone in this area. Now, like West Bradenton, these homes have been built from the early 1900s, 1920s, all the way to today. So super eclectic, lots of variety, a little bit of everything going on here. And the homes run anywhere from maybe 1,000 square feet to about 5,000 square feet. The lots run from 7,000 to 50,000 square feet. But I would say on average, you're going to see most of the lots run between 10 and 15,000 square feet, which I think is really nice. Those are a little bit bigger than average from most neighborhoods around here. So it kind of gives you a little bit more elbow room between you and your neighbors. So I really, really like that. And then in general, I'd say the homes run about 2,000 square feet. You can get smaller ones, you can get bigger ones, but still pretty decent, healthy size properties. Now, in the last 90 days, the homes have sold between $200,000 and $700,000 for an average sale price of about $410,000. But in the last year, there were maybe 4 properties that sold over $1 million, because if you can imagine, the properties that are right on the bay, those are definitely going to go for more money. And then, of course, the larger homes, and on bigger lots will go for more money too, even if they're not directly on water. So I like the Whitfield area. You still have a little bit of variety. The properties on the west side are definitely going to be more money than the properties on the east side. Some of those, I think the streets look a little bit nicer on the west side than on the east, but not that the east is bad at all. It's still very, very nice. But there's going to be some pockets that are going to be better than others, so keep that in mind. Oh, and you know what? In the Whitfield area, there's actually a park there. I forgot. And when I was driving around, I wanted to take video of that, and I couldn't because there was a lot of kids there, and I didn't want people to freak out on me because I was taking pictures or videos that their kids would be in. So hopefully I'll be able to find some online to include in here. But yeah, so it's a really nice large park. And so depending on where you're at in the Whitfield area, you can walk over to that. So I think that's really awesome. I love that when I saw that there. I didn't even know it existed until I was driving around to do this video. So that's pretty cool too. So now to wrap this up, I want to share with you just a few common things that pertain really to all of these neighborhoods, some good, some less good. First of all, I want to mention in terms of medical facilities, Blake Hospital is probably the hospital that's closest to these neighborhoods. So that might be your go-to place, especially in an emergency. So Blake Hospital, or maybe even Lakewood Ranch Medical Center. So that's first of all. Second of all, we got to watch the age of some of these properties. Even Barrington Ridge, even though it's not an old neighborhood, in the state of Florida, insurance companies are really cracking down on the age of roofs. And so it might be a little bit harder for you to get an insurance policy with an older roof. And when I say older, even if it's a shingle roof and it's got 30-year shingles, it doesn't really mean anything. Really, if the roof is 17, 18, 19 years old, it might be harder to get a policy. Even if you own a home with a roof that old, you could end up getting a letter from your insurance company saying they're going to drop you because of the age of the roof, just because we're having issues in the state with people being difficult, kind of scamming the insurance companies. So that's where we're at with that. So you got to watch that. You got to watch these electric panels. There's certain electric panels out there that they're not insurable anymore. So that would have to get changed out. Of course, just watch for plumbing, stuff like that. So those things are really important. And then third of all, I want to mention that especially in West Bradenton and in the Whitfield area with the older homes, there could be some wood frame homes. And obviously some of them have been standing there for 100 years. I don't anticipate them going anywhere anytime soon, but sometimes there's things you got to look out for, like termites. And termites here are super common. Don't let them freak you out or anything. You just get the property tented. But it's just something to keep in mind. You've got to think about all of those things. So you might have more wood frame properties in those areas. So some people are okay with it. Some people aren't. I used to live in a wood frame house. I had it tented once. And then I had the wood, and went and like drilled holes in the wall and like injected stuff like chemical in the wood another time. So those are things that you have to look out for when you're talking about Florida properties. Okay, so what did you think about these Bradenton neighborhoods? I just kind of did a quick little sampling here of 3 different communities that have some pros, they have cons. There's something for everybody, so let me know if you liked any of the neighborhoods that I shared with you, and I'll keep working on hitting some other ones too, the lesser known ones that people sometimes aren't even aware are out there. So if you like this video though, please hit the like button, and then when you're ready, give me a call, text, or email me. I'm happy to answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching.